The night was quiet in the small town hospital until the cries of a newborn pierced the air. Nurses rushed in, their faces filled with both relief and exhaustion, but something about this birth was different. The baby girl, tiny and fragile, had come into the world carrying a mystery no one could explain. When the doctors examined her, they froze in disbelief. Nestled within her fragile body were two unborn children, an occurrence so rare, so unimaginable, that the room fell completely silent. For a moment, even the machines seemed to pause, as if the entire world held its breath. Whispers spread quickly among the staff. Some called it a medical anomaly, others a divine sign. But as the baby lay in her mother's trembling arms, all anyone could see was innocence and an unexplainable miracle. Her chest rose and fell with the soft rhythm of life, fragile yet determined, and her faint cries echoed with a strange kind of strength. News of her condition began to spread beyond the hospital walls, reaching ears far and wide. People marveled at how such a tiny life could carry such an extraordinary burden. She was soon called a miracle child, a symbol of something greater than science could fully capture. But for her parents, sitting quietly by her side, she wasn't just a miracle to the world, she was their daughter, a fragile spark of hope. And though no one knew what her future would hold, it was clear her story was only just beginning. As days turned into weeks, the miracle child's life became a battle for survival. She was too small, her body too delicate, and every breath felt like a struggle between life and death. Her parents rarely slept, keeping watch over her crib as monitors beeped softly in the hospital room. Each flicker of her eyelids, each faint cry, became a sign of hope they clung to desperately. Doctors spoke cautiously, warning that her chances were slim, but the little girl kept fighting, as if refusing to let go. Word of her condition spread quickly through the small town, and soon strangers began to appear at the hospital with flowers, letters, and warm meals for her weary parents. The family that once felt alone was now surrounded by kindness they never expected. Neighbors who had never spoken before offered help, volunteers organized small fundraisers, and even children wrote cards filled with words of encouragement. It was as if the tiny girl's struggle had awakened something in the hearts of everyone around her. Through her weakness, she became a source of strength. People found themselves praying for her, sharing her story, and holding their own loved ones a little closer. Her fragile heartbeat, steady against the odds, reminded them of the value of every moment. Though her parents lived with fear, they also lived with gratitude, for every extra day they had with her felt like a gift. And in that hospital room, love grew stronger than fear, binding strangers and family alike. Months passed, and the little girl grew, though her body remained frail. Her parents clung to every small milestone, her first smile, her tiny hands reaching out, the soft cooing sounds that filled the room. But then came the day the doctors delivered news that broke their hearts. After long hours of tests and examinations, they revealed the truth: the two unborn children inside her were not living. They were remnants of a rare medical condition, something no one could have predicted. Her mother wept quietly, clutching her baby close, while her father sat in silence, staring at the floor, searching for answers that wouldn't come. The dream that perhaps her little body carried a miracle within a miracle shattered in that moment. Fear took hold once again. Fear that their daughter might never live the life she deserved, fear that her tiny frame could not withstand the burden she carried. Yet, in the midst of sorrow, something remarkable happened. As the mother's tears fell onto her baby's cheek, the child suddenly smiled, a pure, innocent smile that seemed to whisper, "Don't cry, Mama. I'm still here." It was as though this tiny soul, too young to speak, had found a way to comfort the very people who feared for her future. In that simple, unexpected moment, the parents realized something profound: even in weakness, their child carried strength beyond measure. She wasn't just surviving, she was teaching them how to hope, how to hold on, and how to believe. When all seemed uncertain, a glimmer of hope arrived in the form of compassion. A world-renowned surgeon, having heard the girl's extraordinary story, reached out to her family. He was deeply moved. Not by the attention her case received, but by the courage and love that surrounded this fragile child. Without hesitation, he offered to perform the delicate operation free of cost, knowing the risks were immense but believing that her life was worth every chance. The news spread quickly, and something extraordinary followed. People from across the country, and even from faraway places, began sending donations, prayers, and heartfelt letters. Families lit candles in their homes, churches held vigils, and strangers who had never met the little girl spoke her name in their prayers at night. It was as if the whole world had become her family, united by a single hope, that she would live. The day of the surgery arrived, heavy with both fear and faith. The parents held their daughter's tiny hand as doctors wheeled her into the operating room, whispering words of love she was too young to understand but could somehow feel. Hours stretched endlessly, every second waited with silence and prayer. Then, finally, the surgeon emerged, his face tired yet filled with relief. The operation had been successful. Tears flowed freely as the parents embraced, knowing their daughter had been given not just another chance at life, but a future. Her survival was no longer just a medical victory, it was a triumph of compassion, proof of what humanity can achieve when love outweighs fear. Years later, the hospital that once echoed with uncertainty now echoed with laughter. The little girl who had once been so fragile now ran freely across an open field, her hair flying in the wind as her mother chased after her. Her laughter was bright and full, the kind that made strangers smile just by hearing it. Every step she took was a reminder of the battle she had fought, the prayers whispered around the world, and the kindness of strangers who had once carried her story in their hearts. Her parents watched with awe, still remembering the nights they feared she would never see tomorrow. They had seen her at her weakest, and now they watched her strong and radiant, a child who had turned pain into hope. She was more than their daughter, she had become a living testament to the power of compassion and faith. Her story spread beyond her small town, inspiring families, doctors, and even people who had never met her. She reminded the world that miracles don't always come in the way we expect. Sometimes, they come through the strength of a tiny child, through the unity of strangers, and through the love that refuses to give up. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in colors of gold, the little girl ran back into her mother's arms. In that embrace was the truth her journey had taught the world, even from the most fragile beginnings, life can bloom into something extraordinary.